Hi, my name is Shannon Costello and I'm a registered dietitian with Corporate Fitness Works. Today we are in my home kitchen and we are going to make a Southwest spaghetti squash bowl. Part of the DASH diet, or dietary approaches to stop hypertension, and the Mediterranean eating plan is to increase plant-based foods because they're rich in fiber. Fiber is so important in our diets for many reasons, including reducing cholesterol levels, improving gut health, maintaining proper bowel function, and just providing satiety to prevent overeating and help with weight management. So this bowl is going to be loaded with a variety of plant foods to get a great dose of fiber for lunch or dinner. Spaghetti squash is a type of winter squash, but you can typically find it all year round in America. It's a great swap for regular spaghetti noodles. Whole grain spaghetti is also a perfectly great choice and also contains fiber, but it's also good to just change things up once in a while. And why not get another serving of veggies into your day with some spaghetti squash? One serving of this squash is only about 35 to 40 calories, has about 2 grams of fiber, and is rich in vitamins C and A and potassium, which is an important mineral for managing blood pressure. The Southwest sauce that we're going to be making is also loaded with color and veggies, but is really simple and doesn't use a lot of ingredients. It's actually very budget friendly, using very few low-cost pantry staples. We have some diced onion and bell peppers, any color that you choose. You can use black beans or pinto beans for a plant-based protein. We'll have some chunky salsa, some garlic powder, some cumin to make this really saucy and flavorful, a little bit of spinach or mixed dark leafy greens, and of course some cheese to keep it with the Southwest theme. You can use any block or shredded cheese of choice, but generally the Monterey Jack goes well. Or this is actually a dairy-free cheese if you prefer to keep this vegan. If you don't have salsa, you can also use canned diced tomatoes. Just be sure that you're rinsing your beans to get rid of any of the added salt from the processing. And if you're buying the diced tomatoes, choose the no salt added variety. So the first cooking step is to cook the spaghetti squash. You can do this in either the oven or the microwave actually. I prefer the microwave because it tends to be a little faster and it uses less energy and heat in this tiny kitchen of mine. So you're going to want to use a very sharp chef's knife and carefully slice the spaghetti squash in half lengthwise. Depending on the size of the squash, you'll slice halfway, so in the center of the squash, you'll kind of go straight down and then carefully seesaw your knife back and forth until you hit the cutting board. Then you'll turn it around and do the same thing in the other direction. If you're not able to get through the stem, that's okay, because at this point you'll probably be able to just pull each half apart. Okay, so this is what you'll see after you've cut it in half. It does have some seeds and some stringiness to it. So just take a large spoon and you'll scrape those out. And you can save these seeds and roast them just like pumpkin seeds. I already did some of the scraping, so you didn't have to watch me do that. But these are great to save and top on with salads or roasted veggies. And then once you discard those or save them for later, then we'll brush a little bit of olive oil onto the flesh, or you can use avocado. Canola oil is fine too. So this will just help add some flavor as it cooks. It's a very good unsaturated or heart-healthy fat if you're using these plant oils. And then we'll just do a pinch or two of some salt, and this will help bring some moisture into the cooking process. And we'll go ahead and microwave these. So we need a microwave safe dish. This is just a glass Pyrex here, and depending on the size of your dish and the size of your squash, you may just have to do one half at a time. I think I'm going to be able to squeeze these two ones in here, but I'm going to fill my dish with some water. That way, as it's microwaving, it's kind of steaming up into the squash. So I'll place these face down in the bottom of the pan. like I said, I'm going to attempt to go ahead and do these 2 times because this is only going to microwave for about 5 to 7 minutes on high. So go ahead and start with that, and then you can check for the tenderness. We can range from a little al dente and crunchy spaghetti squash, or you can go until it's pretty soft. We just don't want to overcook it because it can get a little too watery. Okay, so while our spaghetti squash is microwaving, we're going to get the Southwest sauce ready. So heat a large skillet over medium heat. I've already turned this on, so once it's hot, you'll add your cooking oil. I am using some olive oil here, a very neutral flavor. Again, heart healthy with unsaturated fats. And then just let that coat the pan. We'll give it a few seconds to warm up. We don't want to add our cooking oil when we turn the heat on because as the skillet itself is coming to temperature, the oil is as well, and then it can overheat and it can actually reach its smoke point, which will change the flavor. It'll add carcinogens into the oil, and then it can easily burn our food. So I'm just going to use an onion here to test out the heat, and it looks like it's sizzling. So it's ready, and we're gonna add our diced onion and peppers. Get these cooking first. Just toss those around in the oil. This will take about 3 to 5 minutes. Just gonna saute these until they're softened and you'll see the onions turn like a translucent color. Okay, we are sizzling and these are softened. So we're gonna go ahead and add our black beans and the spinach or mixture of dark leafy greens. Stir that in. And then go ahead and add your seasonings. So make sure that you pre-pour your seasonings into a separate container. Don't pour straight out of the seasoning jar because the steam from cooking will enter your seasoning jar and it can cause caking and then the seasonings can go bad. Also, notice how we're not adding any added table salt. Cooking at home is a great way to reduce sodium, and you can just use dried seasonings and herbs, fresh herbs. You can use different salt-free seasoning blends, even make your own. Citrus juice, sauces, dressings, marinades, these are all great ways to flavor your food without actually using some salt. So I'm just gonna stir this in and wait for our leafy greens to wilt a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and reduce the heat to a medium-low now that my greens are starting to wilt. And we'll add our salsa or those diced tomatoes that you have. And this just allows the salsa to come to a similar temperature as everything else. And I prefer the chunky version, but you can get any variety, even a flavored version if you'd like. This is gonna make this a little more saucy. And then lastly, we will add our cheese and let this melt in. You can also save the cheese for just topping off at the end, which is totally fine. And cheese is perfectly fine to add into a healthy lifestyle, including the DASH diet and Mediterranean eating style. Cheese actually comes with a variety of nutrients, even though it does have some saturated fat in there. It's high in protein, you've got calcium, phosphorus, potassium, so it's okay to add some cheese once in a while, plus it helps flavor things up. All right, so now that everything's in here, I'm just gonna turn my heat all the way down to low, and that cheese is gonna start to slowly melt, and everything's just gonna stay at this warm temperature while we check on our spaghetti squash. Okay, so I started with microwaving for 7 minutes, and then I actually added an additional 2 minutes, and then another 2 minutes, and between each stoppage time I added a little more water into the pan to help with the steaming. I do like mine a little bit crunchy or al dente, so this is what it will look like. You can see it's kind of moistened, and you'll just take your fork, allow this to cool off. Obviously after the microwave or oven it's going to be very hot, and you're going to fork or fluff the flesh, and you'll see it gets kind of stringy. And you can continue doing that until you get all the way down to the shell. Don't waste any of that squash. You can get it all out of there. And you'll just dump it right into your serving bowls. So once it's in your bowl, we will add our toppings. And this looks really good. It's nice and flavorful. We've got tons of color in there. And you can top this off with fresh cilantro. I'm gonna add some diced avocado. You could do chopped green onion or whatever garnishes you prefer. And here we have it, a colorful and fiber-rich meal, perfect for a 30-minute lunch or dinner. If you're meal prepping this or have any leftovers, you can store the squash and sauce either together like this or separately in an airtight container for up to 4 to 5 days. Enjoy!